jawabu la swali: ni nini kifanyike ili Afrika iweze kujenga na kutekeleza miundombinu kwa kasi
na kwa kiwango kinachokidhi mahitaji ya sasa.
Indeed, picking up from what you said about doing this with speed and scale, one of the organizations that has been very instrumental in this is Africa50. And over the last 10 years, I've been proud to say that we've been developing, de-risking, and delivering projects that are unlocking economic scale impact across the country. And therefore, Your Excellency, we are really, really honored. And thank you so much for welcoming us to celebrate this very important milestone here in the beautiful city of Dar es Salaam. So to set the stage for the celebration and 2 days of investment into African infrastructure, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Ivy Quake.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, President of Tanzania, President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, heads of state, policymakers. I'm Ivy Quake, I'm from Nigeria, and I crave your indulgence for a couple of minutes, if you don't mind. Thank you. Africa is becoming. Africa is bridging rivers, powering cities and connecting dreams. Africa is not merely a place on the map. Africa is the verb the future is conjugating. We are a people who know where we're from, who understand the importance of culture. Our different dialects teach us that unity is in uniform, from Casablanca to Libreville to Dar es Salaam. It's the beauty of diversity, so we do not need to wear the same attire. And what I mean by that is we do not need to wrestle, only strive for umoja. Africa has been the why behind every Africa50 decision for 10 years. And oh, there is proof. Footprint in 33 African countries, and Africa50 is the conduit. Ask Egypt, where one of the world's largest solar parks has solar plants that teach darkness how to pack its bags. Ask Kenya. Its transmission lines will teach you how to move with its people. In summer, in storms, and it will find you in every corner. In Rwanda, Kigali Innovation City will remind you that innovation is not imagined, it is deep in our skin. As Senegal and Gambia, we're bridging the gap, enabling quicker transport. This is what we call the Senegambia. In Mozambique, Aressano Garcia gas-fired power plant positions gas as the driver of industrialization. This is proof that there are still possibilities, that the sky was never the ceiling, the sky is where we see things, where we break glass ceilings and say pole, pole to every impossibility, where a nation decides its future is worth financing. Africa50 looks up and sees the future isn't found, it is funded. And this is where trade meets real change. Because Africa50 is not only about profit margins or balance sheet, it is about impact. It is about answering a need so deep that when we move, an entire community rises as if it was to the batter drum. It is about a deep urgency, about choosing to invest, sweat, and build, so that generations yet unborn will know you once stood here and chose not yourselves alone, but all of us. Here is to 10 years. Because Africa50, what you hold in your hand is not just capital, it is possibility. Every dollar, every deal, every decision is a seed. Because when seeds fall on African soil, they do not grow small. 10 years of becoming Africa's infrastructure multiplier. Like Charles Babbage gave machines the language of calculation, you give Africa's infrastructure great momentum. You give this land's great fire. Where others see small, you see nations. You are the standard report to. You are not in the room for noise. You are the reason the room calibrates its sitting. This is not man and money. This is man and mandate. right here in Tanzania where we all gather, is a testament to Africa's greatness and possibility.
Mkuu, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Honorable Dr. Haj Abdurrahman Diouf, Minister of Energy and Petroleum, representing His Excellency Bassirou Diomaye Faye, President of the Republic of Senegal, Honorable Ambassador Kamis Musa Omar, Minister of Finance of the United Republic of Tanzania, and all the honorable ministers, deputy ministers here present, distinguished government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, head of African financial institutions and international organizations, our esteemed shareholders and board members of Africa50, members of private sector, ladies and gentlemen, go on. Your Excellency President Samia on behalf of the entire Africa50 organization, please allow me to express our deep appreciation to you, to your government, and to the great people of the United Republic of Tanzania for the warm welcome extended to us and for your leadership and personal support that has made this gathering possible. As a viewed Africa50 of the country and a strategic gateway connecting East, Central, and Southern Africa, the United Republic of Tanzania is a fitting place to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Africa50 operation and to chart the course for the decade ahead. It is my honor and my pleasure to welcome you all to the 2026 Infra for Africa Forum held under the theme A Decade of Impact from Vision Delivery. Over the next 2 days, we will address the issues shaping Africa's infrastructure, from energy, security, digital infrastructure honor, and my pleasure to welcome you all to the 2026 Infra for Africa Forum held under the theme A Decade of Impact from Vision to Delivery. Over the next 2 days, we will address the issues shaping Africa's infrastructure, from energy, security, digital infrastructure to transmission networks, asset recycling, domestic capital mobilization, and regional integration. Together, we will use the Infra for Africa platform to advance partnerships, projects, and investment, and indeed to send a very powerful message to the world that Africa infrastructure offers a very, very compelling investment opportunity. 10 years ago, Africa50 began its operations with the conviction that Africa's infrastructure challenge was not only one of financing, but also one of project preparation, project development, execution, and partnership. Africa50 was created to develop bankable projects, mobilize capital for investment in infrastructure in Africa, and accelerate infrastructure delivery. Today, that founding vision has become a world-class institution delivering impact and financial returns across the continent. Today, Africa50 is recognized globally as a leading infrastructure specialist investor, which has built a quality investment portfolio which is generating meaningful development impact alongside strong financial performance. Indeed, in 10 years of operations, Africa50, we built a platform that has invested in 36 projects across 34 African countries, supporting infrastructure investment with a combined value of more than $9 billion. Today, Africa50 is recognized as a superb investment platform that has pioneered several first-of-their-kind infrastructure transactions across Africa, including developing Africa's first greenfield independent power transmission and the first infrastructure asset recycling transaction on the continent. Today, Africa50 is recognized for putting African capital at the core of its business model. Indeed, through our Africa50 Infrastructure Acceleration Fund, we've mobilized $330 million from 26 institutional investors. 23 of them are African. This is the first time that this has been done. This is Africa's capital working for Africa's infrastructure while welcoming global capital. Today, Africa50 is ready for scale. Having successfully built the platform, we are ready to take on the challenge of helping transform the infrastructure vision of our African leaders into actual bankable projects, attracting African and global capital at scale and delivering impact and return. Excellency, Madam President, dear stakeholders, we are ready. We are ready to take on this challenge. Now, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we mark this milestone, I propose to take a moment to pay tribute to our founding shareholders, board members, partners, teams, and all those who helped build Africa50. I would like to recognize 3 key leaders whose vision and commitment were instrumental in the institution creation, development, and positioning for the next phase of growth. Dr. Donald Kaberuka is here in this room. Former president of the African Development Bank and now chairman and managing partner of Southbridge, whose vision helped create Africa50. Thank you, sir. Dr. Akifungua Adeshina is not here, but he sent a message of support. The immediate past president of the African Development Bank and former chairman of Africa50 Group, who guided Africa50 through an important phase of growth and institutional consolidation. Thank you. And of course, Dr. Sidi Ulta, our current chairman, who is leading Africa50 into the next chapter of its growth with very big ambitions. Thank you, sir. Of course, none of this would have been possible without the steadfast support and leadership of African countries and their leaders, who decided to create an African institution to tackle the continent's major infrastructure challenges. In this regard, allow me to pay a special tribute to Your Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who made the decision, I remember that, for Tanzania to become an Africa50 shareholder, and whose confidence, Madam President, in Africa50 and your continued support is very important to me personally and to our organization as we expand our impact across the continent. Thank you, Madam President. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if our first decade was about proving what is possible, the second must be about delivering at scale with speed. Africa infrastructure needs are vast and urgent. Infrastructure is central to African competitiveness, energy security, digital transformation, and regional integration. Africa has abundant natural resources, growing pools of domestic capital, and increasingly sophisticated private sector. What is needed now is investment-ready project at scale, capable of attracting long-term, large-scale capital from within Africa and globally. What is needed now is stronger partnership. And I would argue what is even more important now is a sense of urgency among the key stakeholders, a commitment to speed in execution, and a laser focus on results. We have to achieve results. As Africa50 enters the second decade of its operation, one ambition will define our journey: becoming Africa's infrastructure multiplier. Our ambition is to build Africa's premier equity house, growing our asset under management to $5 billion in equity capital, which can catalyze about $30 billion of private investment in infrastructure across Africa. A platform that develops projects, deploys equity, mobilizing capital, and creates the Pan-African investment companies needed to transform Africa's infrastructure. Africa50 is committed to playing this multiplier role, delivering solutions at the scale of the challenge that we have. Delivering this scale means helping build African champions in the specific areas where the needs are the most urgent. This is where the organizing framework of the new African Financial Architecture for Development, NAFAD, which brings together African key regional players into a more organized and complementary ecosystem, becomes so important. Creating African champions that can support and at times drive Africa's leaders' infrastructure investment agenda. It's very important. Within this architecture, Africa50 will play its role as the continent's leading equity house and project development champion, bringing our capabilities to bear where they're needed most. Please allow me to conclude, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, with an important initiative aimed at supporting our continent's industrialization ambitions. Achieving our big continental industrialization ambition will require a significant increase in energy supply, with a more prominent role for natural gas as recognized by our partner, the International Energy Agency. I am therefore pleased to announce that, guided by several of our gas-producing shareholder countries and working alongside strategic partner institutions, Africa50 plans to launch a large-scale midstream gas infrastructure investment platform. This platform, we can clap because it's gas. Gas is important for all of us. This platform will unlock Africa's domestic gas resources, expand reliable baseload power, support Africa's industrialization. This platform will provide energy for manufacturing, fertilizer production, mineral beneficiation, digital infrastructure, data centers across the continent. We look forward to partnering with governments and like-minded public and private sector institutions in Africa and globally to ensure that more Africa's gas is harnessed to power Africa's industrialization and fulfill the continent's development ambition. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the first decade of Africa50 demonstrated that African-led institutions can deliver significant private investment in infrastructure. Our next decade will prove that Africa can deliver private investment in infrastructure at the speed and scale its future demands. We know how to do this. Let us make it happen. With your continued support, Africa50 will help change the game, mobilizing African capital, crowding in global investment, and delivering the infrastructure that will power Africa's next generation of growth. The future is bright. Let us build it together. Thank you. I wish us a productive and successful forum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alain Ebobisse, for setting the tone for what will definitely be a productive two-day forum. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, infrastructure has always been central to Africa's development agenda, and a few institutions have contributed more to advancing that vision than the African Development Bank Group. That mission has entered an important new chapter under the leadership of its president, who we are also honored to be the chairman, Dr. Sidi Uta.
Your Excellency, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, under whose high patronage we gather today, His Excellency Professor Kithure Kindiki, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, representing His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, former President of the United Republic of Tanzania and one of the founding President of Africa50 in AU Summit 2013, His Excellency Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, Honorable Carla Luvera, Minister of Finance of the Republic of Mozambique, representing His Excellency President Daniel Francisco Chapo, President of the Republic of Mozambique, Right Honorable Dr. Eperkipe Ekpo, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, representing His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Honorable Dr. Elaji Abdurrahman Diouf, Minister of Energy and Petroleum, representing His Excellency Bassirou Diomaye Faye, President of the Republic of Senegal, Honorable Ambassador Kamis Musa Omar, Minister of Finance, United Republic of Tanzania, and other honorable ministers and deputy ministers here present. His Excellency Donald Kaberuka, former President of the African Development Bank and the father of Africa50. Mr. Alain Ebobisse, Group Chief Executive Officer of Africa50, distinguished government officials, member of the Diplomatic Corps, Head of African Financial Institutions and International Organizations, esteemed shareholders and board of Africa50, member of the private sector, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Karibu. It is a great honor to join you here in Dar es Salaam for the opening of the Infra for Africa Forum 2026 and Africa General Shareholders Meeting. Allow me first to express our sincere appreciation to Your Excellency, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, for graciously hosting us. We are deeply grateful for your leadership and for the warm hospitality extended to delegates from across Africa and beyond. Indeed, we feel at home in this land of the Kilimanjaro and the Serengeti. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, your presence here reflects a shared belief that infrastructure remains a powerful driver for Africa's transformation, and that the continent's futures will increasingly be shaped by our ability to mobilize investment, strengthen partnership, and deliver at scale. Today is a special occasion for Africa50. This year marks 10 years since Africa50 began as a bold idea founded on the conviction that Africa needed an institution capable of accelerating infrastructure development by connecting capital, expertise, and projects. And so today, permit me to pay tribute to the vision and leadership of Dr. Donald Kaberuka, during whose tenure as President of the African Development Bank, the vision was birthed. We thank you all And we thank all those who helped build this institution from concept to reality. Indeed, the theme, a decade of impact from vision to delivery, is appropriate. Over the last decade, Africa50 has evolved into one of Africa's leading specialist infrastructure investors. Africa50 now brings together 38 shareholders from 33 African countries with $1.2 billion in assets under management and a project value of $9 billion. This progress deserves recognition, but our purpose today is not merely to celebrate the first decade. It is to define the second decade. The first decade proved that African institutions can develop projects, mobilize investment, and deliver infrastructure. The second decade must be about scaling what works and accelerating the transformation of the continent. The global landscape is changing. Fiscal conditions are tighter. Public debt pressure have increased. Traditional development finance is evolving. Yet, Africa's infrastructure needs continue to grow. The African Development Bank Group estimates that Africa requires between 130 billion and 170 billion annually for infrastructure, leaving a financing gap of between 68 billion and 100 billion US dollar every year. Closing that gap will require more than external capital. It will require Africa to mobilize its own resources more effectively. Africa possesses an estimated 4 trillion in domestic institutional capital through pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and insurance companies. Yet only a small share is invested in infrastructure. This is why the new African Financial Architecture for Development, NAFAD, matters. Its purpose is straightforward: to connect African saving to African transformation. This is not a slogan. It is a system, a platform. It is a new way of financing development at scale. Financing is not only also about availability, it is also about cost. Too often, perceptions of African risk continue to inflate borrowing costs and discourage investment in the continent. Infrastructure projects across the continent have repeatedly demonstrated resilience and strong repayment performance. Yet Africa continues to pay more for capital than fundamentals alone would suggest. Ending this premium requires better risk assessment, stronger local capital markets, ratings reforms, and institutions capable of sharing risk more effectively. This is why guarantee platforms and risk mitigation institutions such as ATD are so important. Reducing the cost of capital is not a technical objective. It is a development objective. And capital will not move at scale unless projects are ready. And we must be candid. Too many opportunities still reach investors insufficiently prepared. Transaction timelines are sometimes too long. Regulatory processes are not always predictable. Bankability remains one of Africa's biggest infrastructure challenges. The African Continental Free Trade Area is one of Africa's greatest economic opportunities. But a single African market cannot function without world-class infrastructure. It requires energy, it requires transport corridors, it requires ports, it requires digital connectivity, and it requires skills. That is why the themes of this forum matters: unlocking Africa's gas potential, building Africa's digital backbone, scaling regional power pools and transmission networks, developing the future workforce, and strengthening interconnection across our continent. Africa's proven natural gas reserves amount to 7% of the world's stock. Managed wisely, these resources can help support industrialization, energy resilience, and long-term prosperity. These priorities are interconnected. Energy powers industry, digital infrastructure powers innovation, skills powers opportunity, and infrastructure powers integration. The African Development Bank Group has a central role to play in this agenda. Our strategic compass, the 4 cardinal points, provide a clear direction: mobilizing Africa's financial resources, strengthening financial systems and institutions, harnessing demographic transformation, and investing in resilient infrastructure while unlocking greater value from Africa's natural resources. Together, the African Development Bank Group and Africa50 can help build bankable pipelines, expand risk-sharing mechanisms with the support of ATD, and support asset recycling and mobilize capital at scale. This is how delivery becomes possible. Tanzania is a fitting place for this discussion. Since becoming a shareholder in Africa50 in 2023, and thank you very much, Dr. President Samia Suluhu, Tanzania has demonstrated its commitment to leveraging infrastructure to drive economic transformation and regional integration. The partnership between Tanzania and Africa50 reflects exactly the type of collaboration Africa needs more: of national ambition, growing private sector expertise, institutional capital, and disciplined execution, all working together. Ladies and gentlemen, the discussion we began today will culminate in the great debate where we will confront some of the most important questions facing our continent. How will Africa finance infrastructure at scale? How will we build a new financing architecture? And how will we ensure that Africa's next decade is measured not by promises made, but by results achieved? Let us leave Dar es Salaam with more than shared ambition. Let us live with stronger partnership, clearer investment opportunities, and practical pathways to move projects forward. The true measure of success will be the investment mobilized, the project advanced, and the infrastructure delivered long after this forum concludes. Africa has the resources, Africa has the institutions, Africa has the talent and the entrepreneurial ambition. What is required now is bold leadership, stronger collaboration, and disciplined execution. Because Africa's next decade will not be defined by ambition alone, it will be defined by its ability to deliver. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sidi Uta. Thank you for your leadership. And clearly, there's a lot more that we need to do in African infrastructure. And hopefully, by the time that we are done here, we would have found most of the solutions to help and make this come to pass. I'd like now to invite on stage Abby Chams as we still celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Africa50.
kosharo nanani kosharo nanani kuna Naitaka kupendana, siwezi kula bila ukijana. Hivi haya ndo mapenzi, siwezi kula bila ukijana. Kosharo nanani kosharo anani kuna anani kosharo anavyopita ananukia kama malaika ndo huyo anavutia kama malaika ndo huyo hivi ukuno wanaitaka kupendana, siwezi kula bila ukijana. Hivi haya ndo mapenzi, siwezi kulala. Oh, nampenda mpaka moja, mweupe kidogo, mweusi kidogo. Oh, nampenda mpaka moja, mweupe kidogo, mweusi kidogo. first day tulipokutana, moyo kadunda, macho yalipogongana, hapo hapo tukapeana namba, ukweli ulinivutia, sijajua zako tabia, na moyo ndo umenilia, ila nina imani una upendo. Ishi nami, baki nami, daima forever wewe nami. Mitihani, changamoto tuzishinde milele. Ishi nami, baki nami, daima forever wewe nami. Mitihani, changamoto tuzishinde milele. Penzi letu liweno,
Asante sana, Abby Chams. Ladies and gentlemen, Abby Chams, please another round of applause. It is now my great honor to invite Honorable Ambassador Hamis Musa Omar, our Minister of Finance, to deliver his remarks. Minister of Finance, got it.
Haya ndiyo mapenzi ya miundombinu, bandari, barabara, viwanja vya ndege, mapenzi ya nchi zetu Tanzania, mapenzi ya bara letu Afrika. Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, kazi na utu. Your Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, allow me to lean on the already established protocol, but perhaps I should also add recognition of the Chairman of the Standing Parliamentary Committee for the Budget, Honorable Mashimbandaki, and also our host, Honorable Albert Shalamila, the Regional Commissioner for Dar es Salaam. It is my distinct honor to welcome you all to the 2026 Infra for Africa Forum on the sidelines of the Africa50 General Shareholders Meeting, which will be held here in Dar es Salaam tomorrow. Your Excellency, with your permission, and on behalf of the Ministry of Tanzania's Ministry of Finance, and on my capacity as the host governor of Africa50, representing the United Republic of Tanzania, allow me to extend my warmest greetings to all the delegates who have traveled across Africa and beyond to participate in this important continental gathering. Their participation in these fora reflects our shared commitment to accelerating Africa's infrastructure transformation and strengthening partnerships that will shape the continent's future. I would also like to express our sincere appreciation to Africa50 for selecting Tanzania to host this year's General Shareholders Meeting and Infra for Africa Forum, particularly as the institution marks its 10th anniversary. We regard this decision not only as an honor, but also as a strong vote of confidence in Tanzania and in our collective vision of an integrated, connected, and prosperous Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past decade, Africa50 has lived to the expectations and distinguished itself as one of Africa's foremost infrastructure investment institutions. Through its work in project development, investment mobilization, and strategic partnerships, Africa50 has demonstrated that African-led institutions can successfully mobilize capital, prepare bankable projects, and support the delivery of transformational infrastructure across the continent. As Africa50 celebrates its first decade of impact, we also look ahead to the opportunities that lie before us. Africa's infrastructure deficit remains significant, but so too are the opportunities to mobilize innovative financing, strengthen partnerships, and accelerate project implementation. The next decade must therefore be defined not only by ambition, but also by delivery. That's why the theme of this year's forum, a decade of economic impact from ambition to delivery, is therefore both timely and appropriate. It reminds us that sustainable development is achieved not simply through vision, but through effective collaboration among governments, development finance institutions, investors, and the private sector. It is these partnerships that transform ideas into bankable projects and projects into lasting economic opportunities for our people. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for Tanzania, infrastructure development remains one of the key pillars of our national development agenda, the Vision 2050. We recognize that modern transport networks, reliable energy systems, digital connectivity, and efficient logistics hubs are essential to promoting industrialization, facilitating trade, and improving the livelihoods for our Wananchi. Recognizing our common ambition in advancing these objectives across the continent, Tanzania became a shareholder of Africa50 in 2023 under your guidance and leadership, Your Excellency. This decision reflected our confidence in Africa50's innovative approach to project preparation, investment mobilization, and the promotion of sustainable infrastructure development. We remain committed to strengthening this partnership in pursuit of our shared development aspirations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, over the next 2 days, this forum will provide an important platform for governments, investors, development finance institutions, infrastructure developers, and business leaders to exchange ideas, forge strategic partnerships, and identify practical solutions to Africa's infrastructure financing needs. It is our sincere expectation that discussions taking place here in Dar es Salaam will generate concrete outcomes through new partnerships, increased investment, innovative financing solutions, and bankable infrastructure project proposals that will contribute meaningfully to Africa's sustainable economic transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are particularly honored that this opening ceremony is graced by Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania. Since assuming office, Her Excellency has continued to champion an ambitious agenda of economic transformation anchored on strategic infrastructure investment, regional integration, private sector participation, and an improved investment climate. Under her leadership, Tanzania has continued to strengthen its partnerships with regional and international institutions while creating an enabling environment for investment and sustainable economic growth. Her presence here today underscores the importance that the government of Tanzania attaches to infrastructure as a catalyst for economic growth, regional connectivity, and shared prosperity across Africa. Your Excellency, allow me, on behalf of the participants gathered here this morning, to express our profound gratitude to you for graciously accepting to preside over this opening ceremony despite your demanding national schedule. Your presence greatly honors this forum and inspires our collective commitment to advancing Africa's infrastructure agenda. Your Excellency, it is now my singular honor and privilege to invite you to deliver your keynote address and officially open the 2026 Infra for Africa Forum. I'm reminded that we can always make more adjustments on our programs. So, Your Excellency, it looks like we have one more item before we invite you. So, with your permission, please allow our MSCs to continue with the program. So please, take the floor. Parada, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister for Finance, Ambassador Hamis Musa Omar. After those great remarks, we will now move on, Your Excellency, with your permission, to a high-level dialogue. And in this particular dialogue, we are striving to highlight matters related to natural gas, in particular, the choices required to turn gas into financiable projects. And of course, also, we would also like to learn how we can have measurable domestic economic value. And to lead us in this dialogue, on the stage, we have Honorable Dr. Alhaj Abdrahman Diouf, Minister of Energy and Petroleum from Senegal. Honorable Minister, you're welcome. Then from home, we have Honorable Deogracias John Dejembe, Minister for Energy. Please. Okay. And I will start with her. The honor is all ours to have Carla from Mozambique, and she has informed me she will speak in English. Coming from Mozambique, you have vast resources. And I'm sure the audience in the room, when I introduced this high-level panel, I highlighted we will focus on natural resources. It will be good for you to highlight how should other gas-producing countries balance export revenue with reliable supply of domestic power and industry needs. Welcome.
Thank you. I would like to start, first of all, on behalf of the President of the Republic of Mozambique, Daniel Francisco Chapo, by congratulating Her Excellencies Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the Republic United of Tanzania, for convening this very important forum and also for inviting Mozambique to attend this forum, which I would like to thank you. We have starting by saying that we are here, gathered here, at a decisive moment for the future of our continent as Africa seeks to achieve universal access to electricity, accelerate its industrialization, strengthen its competitiveness, and secure prosperity for present and future generations. And we would like to also start by highlighting the theme gathering for all of us in this particular forum, which is very relevant since decades. Africa is being recognized for its abundance of natural resources. Nevertheless, these resources have often been exported in their raw material, while the continent has continued to import high-value manufactured goods at considerable costs. And today, we have to inform that Africa accounts for only with 1.6% of industrial goods traded at global markets. And this pattern must to change. It's why we believe this forum is very important, since the true wealth of our resource lies not only in their extraction, but above all, in our capacity to add value, to create also jobs, develop skills, drive innovation, and achieve the structural transformation of our economy. regard the question particularly addressed to Mozambique, it is important to say that Mozambique energy sector, with its vast potential in renewable energy, natural gas, and critical minerals, represent one of the Mozambique's greatest opportunities available to accelerate industrialization. And what we did was to achieve three main objectives. The first of them is to find the right vision for Mozambique. The second is find the right finance source, blending finance. And the third, find the right mechanism of accountability, transparency, and based on that, we create our sovereign wealth fund. It is how we base all our process. On the vision, we must say that was approved a master plan for electricity that covered the period of 2028-2045, and this plan is a very robust one, which identifies least cost priorities for generation, transmission, and distribution, including regional integration and energy exports to neighbor countries. But we also have an additional strategy, which is the strategy of transition energy strategy, which was approved in 2023. And this strategy recognized the natural gas as an essential transition fuel capable of supporting economic development and industrialization while enabling the rapid expansion of renewable energy. And we believe that this seeks Mozambique as a regional energy hub, promoting green energy industrialization and contributing as well for the global energy transition through the responsible use of the country's energy resource. We can see that based on this strategy was also defined the 4 pillars that we have to follow in order to ensure the green energy strategy and green energy transition that is based on development of modern energy system based on renewable energy, the green industrialization, the promotion of universal access of electricity by 2030, covering 100% of Mozambicans' population, and the last but not least, the promotion of low emissions mobility, which cover the electric mobility, the natural gas for vehicles, and biofuels. This is how the landscape is being designed. We also have on the line on the finance side, which is a blended finance comprising the bilateral, multilateral development partners, development agencies, the risk management entities as well, all are part of this process of finance, the energy sector in Mozambique. And we believe this is the right mechanism that we can put all together in order to push the development of the industrialization financed by the LNG sector. And the last but not least pillar is on the accountability and the transparency, where we create a very clear mechanism based on our sovereign wealth fund, which also was based on the very clear, we can say, the committee for supervision that was created by the parliament side. We also have the investment committee, which is reporting to the government side. And all of this has been based on the implementation of our sovereign wealth fund, which is based on the central bank, but based on the very clear fiscal rule that was approved by law. It is clear that 40% of the LNG revenues go to the fund, and 60% is using to finance the budget for industrialization. So it's how we are organizing.
Thank you very much. We see what Mozambique is doing. You were able to do that with a vision, and then you planned your finance, and towards the end, you say, with accountability, we are able to do that. Please, a round of applause to Honorable Clara. Allow me now to move to Nigeria. You also have abundance of resources. And the question I would like you to answer, your Right Honorable, is what are the lessons that we need to learn from the past with regards to exporting commodities at the expense of beneficiation and developing local value chain? And after you, we will welcome the minister from Senegal, and I understand he will be speaking in French. Right Honorable, welcome.
Thank you very much. I bring warm greetings from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to Her Excellency Dr. Samia Hassan, the President of this great country. I recognize the CEO Africa50 and the working committee for what they are doing to convene this meeting here. And my co-panelists, it is important that African leaders have woken up to the responsibility of the day to address our challenges. When you go out everywhere, they talk about energy poverty in Africa, because for the past number of years, we've been exporting our crude. So today, I think we've come to realize the fact that we need to come back home and develop our country so that when our leaders get out of this continent, they will not face with the issue of over 600 million Africans are lacking access to electricity. No, it shouldn't be. So today, looking at Nigeria, Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has taken a position that we need to develop gas utilization within the country. And when this is done, you are sure of power generation, industrialization, food security with reference to fertilizer production, clean cooking, transportation. And so globally, we are talking about energy security. And when this is addressed, using gas in our dear country, some of those challenges will be addressed. We are really particular. Let me tell you that in our country, Nigeria, though we host the highest volume of natural gas in the continent, we are not selfish about it. We look into how we can transport this gas to other countries within the continent so that they can take advantage of it. So the issue of continuously exporting our natural resources is no longer a priority now, even though you talk about foreign exchange. But then if you utilize it within the country, you grow industries, as I've mentioned. This will create job opportunities. This will create revenue for the country. And you talk about the fertilizer production to guarantee food security for your people, because the primary responsibility of the government is to ensure that our people are living in the prosperity. And under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we are talking about from gas to prosperity. So in every sector of it, we pursue it that way. In the past, there was no issue of transborder gas pipeline. But today, I can tell us that we now transport our gas to Ghana, Togo, Benin Republic. And just last month, there was a meeting of the West African head of states where an agreement was signed between the national oil companies for gas to be exported from Nigeria through the Atlantic to more than 12 countries within that region to Morocco. This is what we are doing. And of course, as this gas passes through all these countries that will serve as off-takers, they will take advantage of it to improve their power generation, fertilizer production, industrialization, clean cooking, and of course, develop their own countries. It is not within at that level. We are doing same with Algeria. We are doing same with Equatorial Guinea. So the time has passed for us to continue to talk about exporting our natural resources. Rather, we use it and develop our continent for the good of our continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable, for the initiatives that are ongoing in Nigeria. And especially, I like the mantra, from gas to prosperity, and you include all the way other nations in the West Africa, all the way to the north. Next up, you will be speaking in French, so I'm going to ask you to get your translation gadgets. Kindly assist my panelists also. We are happy to have Honorable Dr. El Haj Abdurrahman Diouf, the Minister of Energy and Petroleum from Senegal. And the question I have for you, how do we think about developing cross-border, and I'm just taking it over from Nigeria, right? Cross-border pipelines to indeed drive gas trade and export internally and across the continent. Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. It is a great honor for us to be here, and I would like to thank you for the invitation. I am switching in French, with your permission. C'est vraiment un grand honneur pour nous de venir ici en Tanzanie représenter le président du Sénégal, Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye. Son Excellence, Madame Samia Hassan, je voudrais vous transmettre les salutations fraternelles du président Bassirou Diomaye Faye, qui avait voulu être ici personnellement pour répondre à votre invitation. Et c'est un conflit d'agenda qui a fait qu'il ne peut pas être ici aujourd'hui. Alors, par rapport à votre question, le Sénégal est un pays qui est devenu gazier très récemment. Nous avons eu notre first gaz en janvier 2025, donc c'est très récent. Mais ce qui est intéressant par rapport à votre connexion, à votre question sur l'interconnexion, c'est que nous avons un projet inédit en termes de montage. Nous avons le projet qu'on appelle le Grand Tortue Ahmeyim, GTA, que nous avons avec nos voisins de la Mauritanie. C'est l'occasion d'ailleurs de féliciter encore le président Sidi ici présent. Donc c'est un projet inédit parce que nous avons du gaz des deux côtés. Et là où ailleurs il y a eu des difficultés de partage, nos deux pays frères ont eu l'intelligence d'exploiter ce gisement entre eux. Donc du coup, il n'y a pas de conflit. Il y a naturellement des fois quelques contentieux avec les opérateurs, mais globalement, c'est un projet qui se passe bien. Mais globalement, en termes d'énergie et d'électrification au Sénégal, nous avons pratiquement les mêmes problèmes que les autres pays africains. Chaque année, nous augmentons la production, mais chaque année, notre population augmente, les besoins augmentent, et nous ne parvenons pas à nous sortir en termes d'industrialisation ou tout simplement en termes d'accès universel. Par exemple, aujourd'hui, l'ensemble des 19 millions de Sénégalais n'ont pas tous accès à l'énergie et au gaz. Et nous avons deux chiffres clés que je voudrais partager ici. Le premier chiffre, c'est que nous avons 6471 localités à l'intérieur du Sénégal qui n'ont pas encore accès à l'université, à l'électricité du moins. Et pour financer ces 6471 localités, nous avons besoin de 400 milliards de francs CFA, ce qui est l'équivalent de 800 millions de dollars. Donc le message aujourd'hui par rapport à l'énergie, à l'interconnexion, c'est que le Sénégal a besoin de 800 millions de dollars pour pouvoir financer l'accès universel. Et l'objectif, c'est de l'avoir dans 2 ans. Et cela pose la problématique du financement. Nous avons des budgets qui sont plus orientés vers les dépenses sociales. Et de plus en plus, nous avons besoin de bâtir des partenariats publics-privés où l'argent du privé vient se substituer à l'argent du public dans des domaines qui peuvent être rentables. Parce que sur ces régions dont je vous parle au Sénégal qui n'ont pas accès à l'université, à l'électricité, je parle souvent d'université parce que je suis ancien ministre de l'enseignement supérieur. Donc ça me poursuit encore. Et dans ces zones-là où on n'a pas accès à l'électricité, il n'y a que l'État qui peut faire des investissements qui ne sont pas rentables. Le privé ne va pas aller dans des zones qui ne sont pas rentables pour faire des investissements. C'est pour ça que nous devons trouver un équilibre entre le financement public et le financement privé pour pouvoir avoir accès à l'universel. Maintenant, pour terminer sur les questions d'interconnexion, non seulement nous avons l'exemple avec la Mauritanie, Mais nous avons l'exemple de l'organisation de la mise en valeur du fleuve Sénégal et l'organisation de la mise en valeur du fleuve Gambie. C'est cela qui fait que si nous sommes en surcapacité, si nous sommes en surproduction, la Gambie, la Guinée et le Mali, qui sont des pays voisins, peuvent en profiter. Et si nous sommes en déficit, leur surproduction nous permet aussi d'en profiter. Cela veut dire que chacun essaie d'agir là où il est fort pour aider à résorber le déficit de l'autre. Là où je voudrais terminer sur les questions de transition, c'est une question toujours difficile pour moi, parce qu'avant d'être le ministre de l'énergie et du pétrole, j'étais le ministre de l'environnement et de la transition écologique, et je me battais tous les jours avec le ministre du pétrole. Maintenant, c'est moi le ministre du pétrole et je dois trouver l'équilibre. Naturellement, dans nos pays, et c'est ma conclusion, on ne peut pas, comme certains pays développés qui ont déjà utilisé le fossile, quitter du jour au lendemain pour parler d'une économie propre. Chaque pays a son histoire. Et l'histoire de nos pays, c'est que nous avons des gaps de pauvreté à résorber. Et aujourd'hui que nous avons du gaz et du pétrole, nous demandons une transition douce, une transition intelligente, une transition différenciée qui nous permette de bénéficier des fossiles pour régler un certain nombre de problèmes de pauvreté pour aller vers le renouvelable. Donc là aussi, nous devons avoir un équilibre entre les fossiles et le renouvelable, avoir un agenda africain où la ZLECAf, par exemple, pourrait avoir, en termes de transport et de commerce, un rôle extrêmement important. Et c'est cela que nous appelons la solidarité des pays africains. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much for sharing the initiatives that are ongoing in Senegal. Before I come to His Excellency Wamkele, let me come home, yeah, in Tanzania. And I have a question for you. I think the audience would like to hear, how can gas-producing country like Tanzania develop affordable, all right, and commercially sustainable LPG framework that will really, really help move Africa's gas resource from better value chains and will allow to expand access to clean cooking? I think this is a question dear to Tanzania. Honorable Ndejembi, the floor is yours.
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for this question. It is well stated that almost 2.1 billion people globally do not have access to clean cooking. And if you break down that number, about 1 billion out of that is from Africa. And from that 1 billion that is from Africa, with people without any clean cooking access, you will see that 85% of that is from sub-Saharan Africa. Well, therefore, it is safe to say that clean cooking is no longer a topic that would say needs to take time. It is an urgent topic. It is a development priority. But it is simply not just an energy issue, but it is also a public health issue, environmental issue, gender equality and economical development issue. I'll come back home here. Prior to 2021, access to clean cooking was about 6%. But under the steady stewardship of our president, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, she championed it, she campaigned it, pushing access to clean cooking here in Tanzania. We have managed to move from 6% to about 28% today as we speak in 2026. And that has also increased our imports from about 290,000 metric tons per year to about 459,000 metric tons per year last year in 2025. So you see, we have made steps. However, by doing that, we still have created a bigger demand. Today here in Tanzania, 7 out of 10 households still use charcoal and other sources of energy for cooking. So there is still room for work. We have vast resources of gas in Africa, in Tanzania, but we should not treat that commodity as an export commodity only. We should also scale up the use of natural gas, LPG, here at home in Africa. And how do we do that? We do that by also connecting our countries. We have neighboring countries like Mozambique. From Madimba to where their plant is about 74 kilometers. We need to connect with ourselves so as we can provide greater access to clean energy across our regions, across our continent. We can have pipelines from Tanzania to Kenya, pipelines from Tanzania to Uganda, to Congo, and so forth. That will give us access to clean energy for our people and scale up access to LPG and CNG. But looking at the International Energy Agency, it estimates that under policy settings, around 75% of global population could still have access to clean cooking by the year 2030. But that needs political will. It needs an inclusion from the public sector, the private sector, and all other major stakeholders to help us achieve this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And I'm looking at His Excellency Wamkele. In one way or the other, when we're speaking about vision, she highlighted finance. When we moved ahead, he spoke of universal coverage in Senegal. We're speaking about finance. Again, in Nigeria, when we're thinking about really utilizing the gas in the country and reaching out from gas to prosperity, we're talking finance. And last but not least, when we're listening to having access to clean cooking resource here in Tanzania, wanting to reach more, we mean finance. And you come from the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. A question for you, and I'm sure the audience would like to hear. How can you actually help Africa advance some of bigger projects? Because there is the appetite for that. And in particular, not only in gas, but then think about supplying clients regionally, okay, but also marking the use beyond the endowments that we've had. And also, importantly, have, like what we had from Nigeria, both energy security and also, like what we had from Tanzania, also contribute to cleaner cooking. Please, I'm sure the audience would like to hear that view from you.
Thank you very much. First, let me appreciate our leaders that are here. Mama, Her Excellency, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, Vice President Kindiki of Kenya, former President Kikwete, ministers. It is really a pleasure for me to be back in Dar es Salaam. The remarks that the president of the bank made and that the CEO made are absolutely relevant in terms of us having to mobilize our own capital. I think the president said that Africa has over $3 trillion worth of domestic capital. And the CEO said that Africa's capital must work for Africa's investment. Now, in the current global context, the context of fiscal constraints, reduced overseas development assistance, our former partners that were directing capital towards the continent themselves are subjected to sovereign debt distress. So the global context is very constrained. So the question, therefore, is how do we mobilize domestic capital? African capital, over $3 trillion that's available, channel it and direct it towards infrastructure projects on the continent. So I think this is a challenge. We've established the frameworks, they are there. President Kaberuka was instrumental and others in establishing Africa50. It's functional. Over $9 billion worth of investments in infrastructure since its establishment. I believe the next challenge is how do we mobilize the domestic capital that we have? Of course, those partners that are willing to partner with us from outside of the continent, I'm sure they are most welcome. So today's discussion is very timely. The President's vision of the new Africa financial architecture is timely because it addresses this question, a very pertinent question of reduced and constrained capital flows into the continent for infrastructure development. The role of the AFCFTA is very simple. It is to enable scaling of infrastructure investments. So for example, here in Tanzania, the country produces over 170 million cubic meters of gas annually from Songo Songo and other places. We've heard Mozambique producing gas. We have also visited, by the way, last month in Angola, we visited a facility that will produce sufficient fertilizers to supply not only for, Amufet is the name, not only for Angola, but the region. However, with all of this investment in the capital that it will be directed to scaling, if we don't have harmonized rules for the exports of these fertilizers to happen, or the export of the gas to happen, we will not achieve our objectives. And so this is the first way in which we can contribute to the development of infrastructure in Africa, enabling the scaling of these projects. Second, by deploying harmonized trade rules, trade policy, to enable trade amongst countries. If you have a domestic supply of energy and you are able to export, that will happen on the basis of the trade rules. A market of 1.4 billion people with a combined GDP of $3.4 trillion is a very significant market, domestic market. But we have got to overcome the fragmentation that has happened for many years by creating a single market. And so the infrastructure projects that we see, and by the way, you know, my neighbor mentioned the productive capacity between Senegal, the Gambia, and Mauritania, and the connectivity in terms of production capacity, the Honorable Minister. I drove from the Gambia, Banjul to Dakar. And there is a bridge, Senegambia Bridge, which was financed by Africa50, completely transformed the trade ecosystem of the two countries, particularly the neighboring cities, smallholder farmers, informal traders. That infrastructure investment not only reduced the cost of trade, the cost of doing business, but it also addressed this issue of inclusivity, where we have now smallholder farmers that are active participants of driving the economic ecosystem of that region. So we have examples where infrastructure development does indeed have a direct impact on people's lives, including the matters that the Honorable Minister of Tanzania raised on clean cooking. And I want to congratulate Mama for her leadership because she raised this matter in the African Union. It is now one of the projects of the African Union that the entire continent is focusing on through her leadership. And we were here last year for the Clean Cooking Summit that Mama hosted with AFDB. So for us, our role is very simple. Deploy the trade rules to enable scaling of infrastructure investment, create the investor confidence by applying the rules, deploy the trade policy instruments to enable the investments and the production at domestic level to be exported outside of the country that has excess capacity.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause to Wamkele. Thank you, Your Excellency. Now, 1 minute or less, preferably. I would like to hear from this high-level panel, by 2030, it's not very far, but it would be good to let the audience know, what is that one measurable outcome that would really demonstrate that we do have a gas strategy and we will really deliver that? I know most of you touched on it in one way or the other. One sentence. If you have that one sentence, that will be good. If you don't, it's also okay. And I will start all the way from Nigeria, come to Tanzania, Senegal, and I will finish with Mozambique. Karim.
Thank you very much once again, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's fantastic, and from what my brother from Tanzania mentioned, LPG. In Nigeria, under the directive of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we are to move 5 million homes from utilization of charcoal and all those heavy emission sources to clean cooking by 2030. And we are on track on that. So currently, we are moving around from state to state to ensure we encourage the homes with every state 27,000 cylinders of LPG filled, and we have promised to do that for 6 times. This is how to move them. It's not for rich homes, but for the poor homes, the less privileged, to move them from and using all those heavy emission sources in their own cooking to protect public health. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's a big point. Thank you. A big campaign around clean cooking in Nigeria. Yes, United Republic of Tanzania. Welcome.
Thank you. If there's one thing, it's that as Africans, we should not work in silos. We should collaborate. We should form infrastructure projects that are bankable, scalable, and that provide access to one another as a continent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senegal.
Nous avons un grand problème d'équité territoriale avec l'électrification rurale. Je disais qu'on a un grand problème d'équité territoriale avec l'électrification rurale. Parce qu'on parle beaucoup de gaz to power, de gaz to industrie, les questions de l'énergie de façon générale, mais nous oublions toujours qu'il y a une population très travailleuse qui n'est pas dans les grandes villes, qui est loin de ces questions de développement et qu'on doit aussi aider à se développer. Et le dernier point, c'est que puisque nous sommes en train d'exploiter notre gaz, nous voyons qu'il y a un problème économique de différence de vue entre les majors, les opérateurs et nous. Tous les majors veulent exploiter notre gaz, faire du GNL et aller à l'exportation. Alors que notre véritable besoin, c'est d'avoir le gaz domestique pour la gestion de nos propres besoins. Et ça, heureusement, le Sénégal et la Mauritanie l'ont très bien compris dans le cadre du programme GTA et nous travaillons tous les jours à essayer d'avoir nos ambitions communes prises en charge par ces opérateurs. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. And I move to Wamkele, please.
Well, thank you again. Well, I would say that let's set ourselves a target by 2035 of this in excess of $3 trillion of domestic capital that is in Africa. How much of that can we mobilize to direct towards our own infrastructure development? Given the current global context that I mentioned in the previous segment, let's set ourselves a target. Development finance institutions, our commercial banks, the African Union, as well as governments, how much of that should we mobilize, unleash, and deploy towards scalable investment infrastructure projects that will be cross-border, whether it is trade corridors, ports that service more than one country, road networks that connect markets. I believe that it is achievable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Important to set the target. Yes, Honorable Kala.
For us, we do have a target, which is our main priority, achieving the full potential and capacity in terms of production of LNG by 2028, which is the time that is scheduled to achieve the high production of our LNG project, which is scheduled to transit from the current 3.4 tonic metrics of capacity to 38 per year. So this is our main priorities to achieve what we have already defined in our strategy. And the commitments that the government is already designed is to ensure the right environment and sustainability of LNG project. It means to achieve the legal stability and also a safe environment for the companies to operate in the country. Thank you.
A very, very important point. Safety of the company, but importantly, you will complete the LNG by then. Really, please join me in thanking the members of the panel. As you've heard since morning, we are here for 2 days. So this was just a glimpse of what you will be hearing for the next 2 days. Please, members of the panel, let us all rise and take our seats. Thank you.
The Industrial Revolution has been powered by one thing: reliable energy. Around the world, natural gas has fueled industries, powered factories, and transformed economies. Today, Africa faces a dual energy challenge: closing the access gap and powering industrial growth. Africa has the resources to industrialize, but needs the energy infrastructure. More than 600 million people lack access to electricity, and nearly 1 billion lack clean cooking.
Reliable, affordable energy is essential for farms, factories, mines, logistics hubs, data centers, and industrial corridors.
Unlocking this potential requires the missing link: midstream infrastructure. Africa50 is building that bridge, developing, de-risking, and financing the pipelines, processing hubs, and storage networks that connect gas fields directly to domestic industry. This is how Africa moves beyond exporting raw materials. By expanding midstream capacity, we turn gas corridors into industrial hubs, creating jobs, boosting trade, and securing the continent's energy future. The bridge between gas resources and industrial growth requires the right partner. Africa50, your trusted partner in gas infrastructure.
Your Excellency, with your permission, it is now my honor to invite Your Excellency Professor Kithure Kindiki, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, to deliver his remarks. Please, let's welcome him.
Mheshimiwa Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, Rais wa Muungano wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, Excellencies President, Rais mstaafu Jakaya Kikwete, ndugu zangu wa Tanzania, na wasalimu hamjamboni, wengine shikamoo. Madam President, I bring you greetings from your brother and counterpart, President William Ruto of Kenya, whom I'm representing here today. And I come here to do a very simple task. I've been asked to discuss Kenya's experience with large-scale energy infrastructure projects, the lessons we've learned, and I want to be as practical as I can because, as I have said again, mine is to give the perspective that perhaps we could share, even as I listen to the experiences of the other countries from what we've just listened this morning. Your Excellency, energy is key to our industrialization. Also, we need reliable, affordable energy, which is also accessible to as many of our citizens as possible. We therefore need a backbone a source of energy and enough infrastructure to convey that energy to reach people's homes and to power industries. I don't want to repeat the statistics that have been given about the potential, the energy potential in our continent, including potential on natural gas. We have adequate, significant stocks of natural gas spread across our continent from Nigeria, Senegal, Algeria, Mozambique, Tanzania, and many more other countries, I believe. But the challenge we have is how to provide major energy infrastructure projects, which normally take a lot of time, require a lot of technical expertise, and also are costly to be able to industrialize. Many scholars and policymakers have cited the fact that Africa's arable land, mineral wealth, including natural gas, a good population, as drivers of Africa's future. The only thing I want to add, even as I go into energy projects, is that Africa needs to build confidence in itself. Africans, we must learn to have confidence in our continent and in our capability to do what others have been able to do. Therefore, Your Excellency, for us, we have picked a few things along the way. The first one is government commitment and political leadership. It's very important for our various countries for us to have government commitment and political leadership, which provides strategic direction, policy consistency, investor confidence, and continuity across political cycles. The biggest threat today to Africa's development is policy disruption, which is an unintended consequence of democracy. The movement from one administration to another, which is a good thing, because democracy is a good thing. But we must find ways of insulating our development agenda from democratic transitions so that we can have continuity. And that is the discussion we're having in Kenya, generally. We have had what President Samia has done in Tanzania, what President Ruto is doing in Kenya, and I'm sure many of our countries, our leaders are doing their best. But how do we assure that what the projects and the programs and the policy framework in place today will be in place 20, 30, 40, 50 years, so that as we do these things, we are looking at taking Africa from where we are today into the first world, because it is possible. Others have done it, Africa can do it. But if we are going to have disruptions every time there's an election, every time there is a succession from one administration to another, then that is going to be a big bottleneck. So consistency, continuity, and stability is a very key enabler of these wonderful objectives around infrastructure. As we build a democratic Africa, we must build a wealthy Africa at the same time. And the two outcomes are not mutually exclusive. Number two, robust policy and regulatory framework, which provides predictability for investors, lenders, and developers, while ensuring environmental, technical, and consumer protection issues. That is a big lesson that we need to carry along, even as we develop these big transnational and long-term infrastructure projects, including energy projects. Number three, we need to develop technical capacity at the local level in our countries. This will reduce dependence on foreign expertise. It will lower project costs and build long-term national ownership of our projects. Number four, we need long-term integrated planning, as I have said in my opening sentence. The need for long-term integrated planning is to ensure investments are aligned to future demand, resource availability, and least cost development pathways. The next lesson that we have picked, number 6, is the need for innovative financing and risk mitigation mechanisms. The case has been made for mobilizing domestic resources, both in our countries, but also regionally. And I'm glad to see the president of the ADB group here and all the other institutions that are underwriting Africa's future in the financial and resource space. So we need to have innovative ways of mobilizing resources, both nationally and regionally, to be able to reduce investor risks, lower cost of capital, and enable implementation of capital-intensive projects. What we are doing in Kenya, we've just put in place the National Infrastructure Fund, where we are mobilizing resources from the stock market by selling off part of the stakes that government owns in government-owned entities, mobilizing and using that capital to crowd in private sector financing and bring on board financial institutions, pension funds, and everybody else, including the regional financial institutions, which are represented here today. So we must think innovatively on where to get money, because the traditional sources of capital and finance are changing for various reasons, which I don't want to delve into today. Number 7, and it is linked to number 6, is private sector participation, involving the private sector so that we can mobilize capital, but also technology, and create operational efficiency while reducing pressure on our public resources that we we have by collecting taxes from citizens. The next lesson we have learned is around community engagement and benefit sharing, lesson number 8. There is need to have the people of Africa move with us. It is not enough to build roads and railways and ports and harbors and gas pipelines. It's important for us to carry the people of Africa for whom we work to go with us and to reason and travel with us the journey. The need for community engagement and benefit sharing secures the social license to operate the projects that we want to do. It reduces delay. Some of the projects have been delayed because of our inability to manage the social, economic, environmental, and other issues around some of our projects. You end up with delays, you end up with court cases, litigation, conflicts, and this affects project sustainability. We have also learned about effective contract and project management to prevent cost overruns, delays, disputes, while at the same time ensuring quality project delivery. The next lesson, number 10, is environmental and social safeguards, I think which is already I've alluded to ensure sustainability and improve access to financing, as well as protecting communities and biological diversity. We have also learned about the power of regional trade and cross-border infrastructure, which has been alluded to by some of the previous speakers. And we need to organize ourselves. In this space around LNG, for example, the pipeline from Mozambique, Tanzania, I see no reason why it should not extend to Kenya, up the coast, and it can go to the other directions as well, so that we can share not only we can share in the economies of scale and be able to leverage on our various strengths. Your Excellency, therefore, the matter before us is how can Africa build energy infrastructure, including LNG infrastructure, at a scale and pace which is commensurate with our state of development today and where we want to go tomorrow. And therefore, we have a dual responsibility of making sure that we provide access to reliable, affordable energy, while at the same time having low emissions of, in terms of protection. It is therefore possible to utilize the significant resources that Africa has, including LNG resources, if we collaborate with one another. Just to give an example of the power evacuation program that we are running between Ethiopia, Kenya, and Tanzania, which has a capacity of evacuating 2,000 megawatts, but at the moment is evacuating 800 megawatts of power from Ethiopia, 700 megawatts into Kenya, 100 megawatts into Tanzania. And I think those are some of the areas which we need to work on and expand, because the capacity is there and the physical infrastructure is already in place. Tanzania has led by example in this space, but we need more infrastructural projects for gasification, regasification, power plants, and pipelines, so that we can take this matter to the next level. Your Excellency, once more, let me summarize my address in simple terms, because sometimes we complicate what we want to say with a lot of English. The future of this subject matter and the future of our continent lies on how we handle 5 things. Number 1, the people. I have talked about the need for us to go along with the people. The story of Africa's development must be written together collectively. And that's why it is important that the discourse we're having around development must be sensitized to communities, to the citizens, to make sure that we are all aligned. We must, for example, let me give this example. Many African countries are struggling with the politics of identity, especially subnational identities. Luckily, Tanzania largely does not fall under that category. Kenya does. And if you look at our constitutional order in many of our countries, there is need for identity. There is need for democratic space and expression and identity. But there is also, increasingly, going forward, the need for African leadership to pursue not just the politics of identity. In fact, we should overcome the politics of subnational identity and promote more the politics of interests and wealth creation. We must work towards making our people rich, wealthy, prosperous across the board, even as we build democratic entities, build on our subnational identities. But that's just one example. But the point I'm saying is that we must carry the people along, young people, women, rural people, urban poor, and everyone. Number two, technology. The mega projects that we want to do, technology is at the center. And we cannot continue relying on foreign technology or foreign sources of technology. The issue of technology transfer is central in this matrix. Number three is the issue of partnerships, especially between the public and private sector, to provide resources, not just financial resources, but also blend the human resources from public and private sector to give us the outcomes we require. Number four, it is governance. Governance. I think part of it has been spoken to. This area about energy, resources, and natural resources require better governance so that we can be able to attract investments, build the confidence of investors, and secure the wealth of our people. Finally, it is the issue of political stability. We can build the best roads, the best airports, the best railways, the best seaports, but without long-term political stability, all that can be washed away. And therefore, we need to invest in strategic security, not just for our countries, but for our region as a whole. Because any instability anywhere in Africa is instability in our own countries. We have seen how the 1980s, 90s have looked like. And with the developing geopolitical changes, we must be able to invest in long-term political stability and strategic security for our countries, for our region, so that we can underwrite the future of our continent, because all these infrastructure projects, if our continent, our countries are not secure, can be washed away overnight. Thank you, and it's a pleasure for me to address you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and thank you for the nuggets of wisdom that you've shared. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, one of the defining features of the Infra for Africa Forum is that apart from the conversations that move or unlock funding into infrastructure, it's also a platform for action. we have signing that we are going to do that are actually coming out of some of the things that we've already spoken about, including gas. And I'm also proud to say that, Your Excellency, 3 out of those 5 are related to Tanzania. So we are going to start with the very first signing, which is between Africa50 and the Tanzania Ministry of Health. And this is an agreement for the expansion of access to dialysis and renal care across Tanzania. Please help me to welcome here Dr. Grace. Thank you very much. The second signing is an agreement between Africa50 and the Tanzania Electricity Supply Company, TANESCO. And this will be to formalize a partnership between the two organizations for the implementation of electricity transmission. Thank you very much, Mr. Ngaya and Moshud. We'll now have them take their photos. Thank you. I'm pleased to say that the third one is also related to Tanzania, and this is the Tanzania LNG project signing. Today, Africa50, Tanzania Petroleum Development Corporation, and Taka Arabia are signing this agreement to develop a pilot project that will supply Tanzania's natural gas to industries across the country. You've heard a lot about gas today and how it's so important to unlock industrialization. You announce the big gas platform that will be leading on the continent. So this is exciting times, and we are really pleased that this is happening. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you. Anas, may I please ask you to remain? We are moving to the next signing, which is Africa50 Agia Project Development with Propaco and the Italian Climate Fund. May I invite Luca Quadrini, Head of Corporate and Export Finance, in that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please a round of applause for witnessing the agreements. Your Excellency, we've gathered here today, and many thanks to our sponsors. We acknowledge the support we received from Stanbic Bank. Thank you. We acknowledge the support received from Mohammed Enterprises Tanzania Limited. We acknowledge support from TPA. We also acknowledge support from TPDC. We also acknowledge support from PSSF, Yas Tanzania, Azam Media Group, and Mwananchi Communication. Before I welcome the next speaker, allow me to let the audience know, after our program, we've heard so many times Dr. Kaberuka being mentioned. He will have a fireside chat. Please don't plan to miss. And before that, you will also hear a showcase of investment in Tanzania. May I now, Your Excellency, allow me to welcome the President of the African Development Bank and Chairman of the Africa50 Board, Dr. Sidi Odita, to give words of appreciation and also to welcome you to address this audience. Karibu sana, Dr. Sidi. Please, a round of applause to him.
Thank you very much. Allow me really to express our gratitude to Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, for the warm welcome and for hosting this annual meeting of the General Assembly of Africa50 and the Infrastructure Forum for Africa. Allow me, Your Excellency, to invite you to deliver your keynote statement. Welcome.
Please be seated. Your Excellency, the former President of the United Republic of Tanzania and one of the founding members or presidents of the Africa50, and this is none than Dr. Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete. Your Excellency, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, my brother Kithure Kindiki, Your Excellency, representatives of the heads of state and government, I also acknowledge the presence of Your Excellency Dr. Sid Olda, President of African Development Bank and Chairman of Africa50. May I also acknowledge the presence of members of Parliament of Tanzania. They are here. Governors of Africa50, honorable ministers, Secretary General of the African Free Trade Area, Honorable Wamkele Mendi, Mr. Elena Abobise, Chief Executive Officer of Africa50. I also acknowledge the chiefs of the security organs here present, Tanzanian security organs, members of the diplomatic corps, development partners, distinguished investors, ladies and gentlemen, habari asubuhi and good morning. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all to the United Republic of Tanzania. And on behalf of the government and the people of Tanzania, I extend our warmest greetings and heartfelt appreciation for Africa50, or to Africa50, for entrusting our country with the privilege of hosting this year's Infra for Africa Forum and General Shareholders Meeting. Since its establishment, this forum has become one of Africa's vital platforms for shaping the continent's infrastructure and investment agenda. We are extremely honored that following the successful hosting of previous meetings by fellow African nations, including the last one in Mozambique, Tanzania has been chosen to welcome this distinguished gathering this year. Thank you very much, and you are most welcome. And this reflects growing confidence in Tanzania's economic transformation, investment potential, and a strategic role as a gateway connecting Africa's markets. More importantly, it reaffirms our shared conviction that Africa's future is best driven by African leadership, African capital, and African partnership. Before I proceed, allow me to thank the previous speakers and my dear brother Kindiki and the panelists for informative dialogue throughout from East Africa to West Africa that indicates gaps we have and opportunities of for investments we have in our continent. Excellencies, distinguished participants, the theme of this year's forum that says a decade of impact from vision to delivery is both timely and benefiting. Clearly, Africa has never lacked visions. Through the Agenda 2063, the African Continent Free Trade Area, and our national development plans, we have set ambitious goals for socio-economic transformation of our societies. Our priority now has pivoted towards delivery, and I insist, delivery. It goes without saying that our people measure progress not by the declaration we make, but by the visible outcomes, such as roads, reliable energy, efficient ports and railways, digital connectivity, and infrastructure that creates jobs, attracts investment, and improves lives. That's why this forum matters. It is indeed bringing together leaders, investors, financiers, and development partners with a common purpose. The purpose is to transform ideas into bankable projects, partnerships into investments, and Africa's immense potential into lasting prosperity for our people. We meet at the time of heightened global uncertainties, marked by geopolitical tensions, conflicts, climate change, supply chain disruptions, and financial pressures. Although many of the challenges originated beyond Africa, their impact sends ripple effects across our continent. These realities reinforce the need for Africa to build resilience and self-sustaining economies by adding value to our resources, strengthening regional value chains, expanding intra-African trade, and mobilizing domestic capital for our own development. At the heart of this transformation is infrastructure. Our roads, ports, railways, energy systems, and digital networks must drive growth, withstand future shocks, and enhance Africa's competitiveness. By developing bankable projects, mobilizing long-term financing, and attracting private investment, Africa50 reflects Africa's determination to finance, build and own its own future, and hence, through collaboration, strong partnership, and effective implementation, we can build a more resilient, competitive, and prosperous Africa. Excellencies and distinguished participants, as for us, Tanzania, our infrastructure transformation is guided by the Tanzanian Development Vision 2050 for the 25 years to come, whose implementation commenced last month, July this year. The vision spells out our ambition to build a competitive, industrialized, and inclusive economy driven by innovation, human capital, sustainable development, and modern infrastructure. Recognizing that this transformation cannot be achieved by the government alone, our 25 years journey to 2050 places the private sector at the center of economic growth, with ambition that 70% of economic contribution will be driven by the private sector, locally and global private sector. Our role as the government is therefore to create a predictable investment climate, deliver strategic public infrastructure, and build partnership that unlock private sector capital, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Over the past years, Tanzania has undertaken ambitious infrastructure development programs in our history. We have expanded and modernized the port of Dar es Salaam, enhancing its efficiency and strengthening its role as a regional trade and logistic hub. We are advancing the standard gauge railway to improve connectivity, reduce transport costs, and facilitate trade with neighboring countries. And we also investing in strategic roads, network, bridges, logistic corridors, and modern airports so as to strengthen national, regional, and global connectivity. These investments are already generating impact by reducing logistic costs, attracting investments. Maybe when the Tanzania Investment Center, we do the presentation, we see how Tanzania is receiving the FDIs from outside the country. So they are also reinforcing Tanzania's role as a strategic gateway for land-linked countries, including Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, Zambia, Malawi, and Democratic Republic of Congo, by providing efficient access to regional and global market. Tanzania's strategic location along the Indian Ocean has historically positioned our country as a natural gateway to Africa. Today, through sustained investments in infrastructure, we are strengthening this role by connecting markets, facilitating trade, and supporting regional integration. As an active member of both the East African Community and the Southern African Development Community, Tanzania occupies a unique position as a bridge between the two important regional blocs. We are committed to using this position to strengthen cross-border trade, develop regional value chains, and promote investments that deliver shared prosperity. The African Continental Free Trade Area further complements regional efforts to enhance trade, investment, and infrastructure connectivity. We therefore stand ready to work with Africa50, governments, investors, and development partners to accelerate delivery of infrastructure that connects our people, industries, and unlock Africa's economic potential. Distinguished participants, talking on building Africa's next generation infrastructure, we are relying heavily on building integration systems that drive industrialization, innovation, and competitiveness. And in this respect, energy remains the foundation of economic transformation. Without reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy, industries cannot grow, business cannot expand, and economies cannot compete. So, in cognizance of this fact, Tanzania is investing in a secure and diversified energy sector through hydropower, renewable energy, and natural gas. The Julius Nyerere Hydropower Station and investment in other clean energy sources is strengthening energy security and supporting industrial development. With the continued discovery of natural or proven natural gas reserves, Tanzania is well positioned to contribute to regional energy security while promoting value addition, manufacturing, and economic diversification. We also recognize that Africa's energy future depends on stronger regional cooperation, cross-border transmission, networks, and regional power pools that will enhance energy security, reduce costs, and provide reliable power to support our growing economies. And my brother Kindiki has explained very nicely our East African pool, but we also have the Southern African power pool, which also provide electricity, reliable electricity to our countries. Equally important is digital infrastructure. In today's world, connectivity is essential as roads, ports, and energy. Through the national ICT broadband backbone, Tanzania is expanding digital access, improving public services, promoting financial inclusion, supporting innovation, and creating new opportunities, especially for young entrepreneurs. It is obvious that infrastructure alone cannot transform Africa. And I want to concur with Deputy Minister Kindiki that our greatest asset is our people. By investing in education, technical skills, and digital capabilities, can empower our youthful population to become innovators, creators, and drivers of African transformation. We can develop them to be not merely consumers of the global solution, but producers of solutions to the world. Regarding mobilizing investment for Africa's infrastructure future, as it was narrated earlier by the previous speakers, that Africa financial muscles for investment remains one of the greatest barriers to economic transformation, but it is also the greatest potential for private sector investment opportunities in our time. Governments alone cannot finance Africa's infrastructure ambitions. We must strengthen partnerships that bring together public resources, private sector, development financial institutions, and local and international investors. I, therefore, invite financial institutions, investors gathered here today to partner with us, Tanzania, and explore the vast opportunities available across transport, energy, logistics, manufacturing, digital infrastructure, and industrial development. Tanzania is no longer a source of raw materials only. It is becoming a destination for value addition, innovation, and industrial production and sustainable growth. Thank you. Talking of a shared vision for Africa's next decade, we must translate commitments into projects, ambitions into achievements, and plans into measurable results. The infrastructure we build must strengthen regional integration, expand trade under continental free trade area, and create opportunities for millions of Africans. To Africa50, I extend my sincere appreciation for your leadership and contribution to Africa's infrastructure transformation. Your achievements demonstrate the power of African-led partnership in delivering impactful projects. As you enter your next decade, we encourage you to continue championing innovation or innovative solutions and investment that connect our continent and improve the lives of our people. Tanzania stands ready to deepen its partnership with Africa50. As you have witnessed here, we signed 3 MOUs or agreements with Africa50, and we expect better implementation of those agreements. So Tanzania stands ready to deepen our partnership with Africa50, investors and all stakeholders committed to building a connected, competitive, and prosperous Africa. Excellencies and distinguished participants, before I conclude, I would like to encourage you to extend your engagement with the people of Tanzania beyond the meeting halls and invite you to experience the warmth of our people, the richness of our culture, and the beauty of our country. From the endless plains of the Serengeti, the proudly standing Mount Kilimanjaro, and to the breathtaking, beautiful islands of Zanzibar, Tanzania offers memorable experiences and exciting opportunities for tourism, hospitality, and sustainable development. Take time to experience them. Before you go back and buy another ticket to come back, you are here. Use them. I also wish to share our pride in hosting, together with our neighbors, Kenya and Uganda, the historic Total Energies CAF African Cup of Nations AFCON Pamoja 2027, the first ever AFCON tournament to be hosted in East Africa, and the first in the history of the competition to be jointly hosted by 3 countries. This milestone reflects not only our shared passion for sports, but also Africa's growing confidence and ability to deliver world-class events while strengthening regional cooperation and investments in sports. As Africans, when we work together, there's no limit to what we can achieve. With these remarks, it is now my honor and privilege to declare the 2026 Infra for Africa Forum and Africa50 General Stakeholders Meeting officially open, and I wish you fruitful deliberations. Thank you. God bless Africa. God bless Africa50. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
A round of applause to Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, for those great words. And here she bids farewell before we proceed with our program. Brass band, please let us escort Her Excellency as she heads out. Please take your seats. Call upon Ziba and Cesar. As I said earlier, we are also going to hear from Karuka, the man behind the vision around Africa50. Just a short song and then we start so that everybody is seated. A very short song. Tafadhali naomba tumruhusu Mheshimiwa Rais mstaafu Kikwete pamoja na timu yake, naomba tumruhusu ili tuendelee na ratiba. tafadhali. Tuna ratiba nzuri sana. Asante Brasan. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly do allow us to proceed with our program. We have two fascinating sessions. The first one is the investment showcase of Tanzania. And the second one is a fireside chat with Dr. Kaberuka. Viongozi wangu naomba tusaidiane, viongozi naomba mnisaidie. Naomba mturuhusu tuendelee na ratiba. Naomba mturuhusu tuendelee na ratiba. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Rais Kikwete. Thank you, Dr. Sidi. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Vera Songwe. Thank you for taking your seats. Mheshimiwa Omera, asante kwa kuchukua nafasi yako. Waheshimiwa waziri, wabunge, wenye viti wa kamati, manaibu waziri, asanteni kwa kuchukua nafasi zenu tuweze kuendelea na ratiba. We do have a networking lunch. Protocol naomba mnisaidie viongozi walioko mbele. Mweke sehemu ya paraga tuweze kuendelea na ratiba. Protocol naomba mnisaidie tuweze kuendelea na ratiba. Asante. Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly be seated. Great. The ones in the room want to be in the room. So may you kindly be seated. And thank you. Allow me now to call Gaudence Massey from together with Saleh Mohammed from ZA. For the investment showcase session. in Tanzania, mainland, and from Zanzibar. And they have 20 minutes. Each one will be preceded by a video of about 10 minutes, and they will make their presentation for 7 minutes. Studio, please let's start with Cesar. Thank you very much.
Who your business be is. There is a country that has set a course far ahead, a land of vision, youth, and ambition. This is Tanzania, your getaway country. In 2025, Tanzania launched its Vision 2050, a bold blueprint for a competitive, inclusive, industrialized economy, one that embraces sustainability, technology, and prosperity for all. Tanzania is a gateway to East and Southern Africa, with world-class logistics and new infrastructure. We connect your business over 1.4 billion people. With over 94% mobile money penetration, digital banking, and venture capital support, Tanzania is investing in people who invest in ideas. TISEZA, the Tanzania Investment and Special Economic Zones Authority, brings it all together. One stop, fully digital, fast, and investor-friendly. Under the leadership of Her Excellency Dr. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, Tanzania is building global partnerships, implementing significant reforms, and welcoming sustainable investments. Who will your business be in 2050? Choose a country with a plan. Choose the country building the future today. Tanzania, your getaway country. Your future now.
Now, ya Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, kazi ya utu, on behalf of the Director General, I'm here to represent the investment opportunities available in Tanzania. We have the Tanzania Investments and the Special Economic Zone Authority. This is the place where an investor who comes to Tanzania must approach on this particular authority. We have the one-stop facilitation center there, which consists of more than 14 institutions. To actualize the process which we have now, we can use this particular institution where we can get the certificate, approval, authorization, permits within 24 hours. We can get your certificate of incentive. So this is a place where we don't need our investors to hurdles or to shift from one door to another or knocking from one office to another. We know we value time on this particular platform. We get your services on time. Why do you think you need to invest in Tanzania? A lot of things have been done, but one of the critical things, we have the very stable macroeconomic policy in terms of fiscal incentives, in terms of monetary policies. We have the inflation rate of an average of 3 to 5%. In case of needed to import some of your commodities from abroad, it means you need a force. So we have enough foreign reserve of which you can import all your goods and services from abroad. Other things have been explained by the previous speakers. What are the investor protection frameworks? Well, a lot of protection framework in Tanzania, but I will mention the two key issues. The first one, we guarantee you, the investor guarantee you. We know investors are coming here in Tanzania for the purpose of doing investment. They get the profits, so we are able to repatriate back your profits. Also, Tanzania develops multilateral investment guarantee, as well as international center for settlement investment disputes. In case of any dispute arise here in Tanzania, the investor are free anywhere to trade your case. Tanzania's projects have been already been explained by the previous speaker, the issue of a special economic zone, standard, LNGs, graphites, and the GS project. We have the full well-integrated in terms of the connectivity. We can be connected to the rest of Africa. We have the very modern transport facilities in terms of roads, in terms of airport, in terms of railways, being connected everywhere from Tanzania. Not Tanzania is the one of the gateway to the rest of Africa. We can access the African markets, SADC market, as well as the African markets in general. The best of infrastructure market, this has been captured. We have the special economic zones. So we have the 5 strategic economic zones. We have the Bagamoyo Maritime City. We have the Nala, Says, Buzwagi, Kuala, Says. All of these attract investors who want to invest in manufacturing industry. From being tied on invest in this particular Says, can enjoy a lot of infrastructure and incentive will be provided. This is just a matrix which shows the infrastructure plans in Tanzania. Tanzania infrastructures, there is a lot of investment opportunity along this area. We can see the transportation sector, energy sector, industrial, ICT, and digital infrastructure in terms of logistics. When you read the 5-year development plan 4, you can find all the particular flagship projects. There are about 7 flagship projects there, which constitute more than 50 anchors projects. So the time is yours, select any kind of project are you interested on. There are different modes of collaboration. We encourage partnership to review PP projects. There are more than 8 modes of which the investor can collaborate with the government in terms of build, operate, transfer, build on, transfer. So the time price is to take which mode you think it is much better for the kind of the products or you are using. Another things, we have incentive. We are providing fiscal incentive, non-fiscal incentive. For those who are engaged in the business or investments, we can experience the fiscal incentive. For instance, you can get a zero import duty on material, on capitals, or tax exemption, or zero corporate tax for the maximum of 10 years. So there is a lot of fiscal incentive which are being provided in Tanzania. In terms of this non-fiscal incentive, also get automatic moderation because of the 10 export rates. As I previously said, we are allowed to repatriate back your profit on this particular general. These are the sum of the world investment incentive being provided here. This is just a distribution of infrastructure projects around Tanzania, leading from Dar es Salaam, Arusha, Pwani, Mwanza, and Dodoma. These are the area where they are so much interesting. When you see the trend on the project side there is increasing rate of the projects which are being registered in Tanzania. In terms of investments, capital project 1, since 2021, when we reach 2025, we can see how the trend is going up. This is an increasing. What are the causes of this? This is due to the predictability laws we have, the confidence of the government, even confidence from the private sectors who they want to invest in Tanzania. These are different awards which have been received from the TISEZA for being the investment promotion agents in Africa. Thank you very much. You're most welcome in Tanzania.
Thank you very much, Governor. Please, a round of applause to Governor. Next up, Zipa, please welcome to the floor. And we're really honored to have the Director General Salah Mohammed and he'll deliver his speech. But before that, there will be an introductory video. Carry.
Zanzibar, an island blessed with history, culture, and breathtaking beauty, a destination that had welcomed the world for centuries, and today it welcomes opportunity. Zanzibar is more than heritage. It is a gateway to investment and trade, a hub at the heart of the Indian Ocean economy. To 1.9 million people, this island is alive with energy, talent, and ambition. Under the leadership of President Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, infrastructure has become a national priority. New roads, modern ports, expanded healthcare, and vital services are transforming the islands, building a foundation of growth for business and people. With Investment Act 2023 and the new investment regulations of 2025, Zanzibar offers one of the most enabling business environments in the region. And at the heart of it all, Zipa's one-stop investment center. Here, registering a business, obtaining permits, and accessing investor services is fast, simpler, and more efficient than ever. Tourism remains the heart of Zanzibar economy, with more than 500,000 visitors each year. But the future stretches far beyond tourism, from world-famous clothes and spices to modern seafaring, from sustainable fisheries to the growing blue economy. Zanzibar is unlocking new frontiers of opportunity. Step by step, Zanzibar is becoming not only a tourist paradise, but a rising center for investment. With modern infrastructure, clear reforms, and a government commitment to progress, the future is here. For investors seeking opportunity, stability, and a young, dynamic workforce in a world-class destination, Zanzibar is a place to be. Explore and invest in Zanzibar now.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's a great pleasure for me to stand before you to present Zanzibar investment opportunities that are available for you, for all guests here who did and who are watching online for the meeting of Africa50. My name is Saad Mohammed, and I'm the Executive Director of Zanzibar Investment Promotion Authority, ZIPA. At ZIPA, our work is to promote, facilitate, and most importantly, protect our investors and their investment. Zanzibar welcomes you all to invest in the diverse opportunities which are available for you, which are available for you. Currently, Zanzibar stands at a GDP growth of 7.1% with a population of around 2.9. We will invite all of you to invest in Zanzibar, and the reason because of the strategic global connectivity, attractive competitive incentive packages, supportive government, and more importantly, the market access of more than 1.5 billion people in Africa. Currently, the portfolio stands at 640 projects for the past 6 years that have been registered, worth around 7.1 billion. But we did manage to attract and approve a partnership project of around 25 with worth around $1.3 billion in terms of PPP in different economic areas. The investment opportunities which are available for different diversified sectors. Please allow me to talk briefly on the part of oil and gas. Currently, we have around 10 blocks of oil and gas, estimated an area of around 300 square kilometers to 600 square kilometers. Both magnetic and seismic data are available, with exploration of 42 upon the request of the investment. Moreover, on the part of the economy, the port infrastructure have been invested heavily by the government. Currently, we have around 6 PPP projects that are operating, worth around 150 million, and we are looking to make sure that we are reaching at 450 million in the next 3 years. We do invite all investors to work together into port management, container terminal depot, passenger cargo, of which we are looking around 5 million passengers annually, 90,000 TEUs annually, 1.8 million of general cargo, and 300,000 tons of petroleum products. These are opportunities which are available for you to work together with the government in infrastructure and services. Tourism remains the cornerstone of Zanzibar source of forex, which currently stands at a 30% contribution of our GDP. Investing in Zanzibar only takes 3 steps. First, submission of your intention, official application, and certification. And this will take you a maximum of 24 hours for you to be an approved investor in Zanzibar. Invest in Zanzibar. There are numbers of incentives that are categorized into 3 parts. There are documented incentives in terms of PPP and Zanzibar Investment Act, and undocumented incentives. The government of Zanzibar is working as an open book. We're always ready to discuss in terms of mutual benefits between our government and all our investors. Zanzibar is working as a one-stop facilitation center, and we invite all African50 development finance institutions, sovereign funds, pension funds, private sector to co-develop, finance, and deliver transformative infrastructure projects that will shape Zanzibar's next economic growth. Thank you very much, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. I'm sure members of the audience have all the opportunities that are available in Tanzania, but then again in Zanzibar too. Please allow me to welcome Tiny Man, and she will lead us into the next fireside chat. And I know most of you want to hear out. You have a vision, and then you have a vision led by Dr. Katika. Tanya, please. A round of applause, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. My name is Tanya Imani, and I'm delighted to lead you in this next conversation from vision to reality. Africa50, like any institution, comes with a story, an idea, decision, and a group of people who decided that something different needed to happen. I'm delighted to into this conversation where we dive into the genesis of Africa 50, the challenges, the struggles, the wins, and the journey all the way to where we are now. Please, ladies and gentlemen, help me in welcoming to the stage our esteemed guest, Dr. Donald Kaberuka, Chairman and Managing Partner for Southbridge Group and former President of the African Development Bank, as he joins me to the stage. Dr. Kaberuka, it is a tremendous pleasure to be with you in this moment as one of the masterminds behind Africa 50. Now, in starting off this conversation, I'd like to take you back right to the beginning. What was missing from the conversation, from what was happening on the continent, that you felt that Africa 50 needed to be created?
Thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon. Still afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm often called the father of Africa 50, according to the city. But I don't know if I'm the father or the grandfather. Because a lot of things have happened since I left the bank 11 years ago. Now, the African Development Bank, by its life, as the father of many institutions, even before me, the lack of AFRICA50, Shell Africa, Africa50, Africa Fund, which I was involved as well, and a couple more. So Africa50 was a tradition of a long activity by the African Development Bank, which is not simple about financing things. It's about crowd investment, creating new institutions to expand the ecosystem. So at least the city will complement this. The bank was not simply there to fund projects. It was to enable things to happen. Now the city is trying something even more revolutionary than is to bring together all the African financial institutions in one place, which have much encouraged. So it was a mission. But if I would just say one thing here, is that something happened in the first 5 years of this millennium, between 2000 and 2005. For the first time in 40 years, the real per capita incomes of Africa were for the first time positive. We have had 40 years of negative real per capita income, when combined low growth and high population. And so the demand for infrastructure was very, very large. And no institution alone, not even the bank, could be it alone. So while at the time China was increasing activities, a couple of countries, not many, could access the capital markets. And it was clear to me then that African Development Bank alone, or even IMDBs, could not fill the gap. So it was important to figure out how to attract the private markets. Now, I don't know if this is going to make me popular here, but I want to say it. People think that because of $4 trillion of African savings, that it is easy to mobilize. No, it is not. Because those are institutional investors and they are extremely risk averse. Very risk averse. Even more risk averse sometimes than international investors. So someone has to come in between and say, how do I provide these people with confidence, security, liquidity, return, so they can realize that part of the $4 trillion. So they need to invest for infrastructure, and the fact that someone has stepped in with the risk for the investors, which successors are doing quite well. So these are the two considerations.
Okay. So thank you for raising that point, actually. That's something we're discussing in the panel later on unlocking domestic capital. But going back to your earlier point on the genesis of Africa 50, do you feel like that gap has shortened? Like there are more players, or is there still work that needs to be done?
No, it's not possible to fill that gap now. The gap is quite large, not simply in terms of finance. But I remember I was saying to the Pan-African Parliament 2 days ago that in terms of financing, the continent now has got 4 problems. And I don't see how they can be squared quickly. Number one is that because of the successive crises over the last 10 years, the fiscal space has become very narrow. In member countries, we're at 14% of revenue to GDP. The target should be 25% and above. So that is the first constraint. Number two, I think as you were saying, for the first time in 60 years, international aid declined. Aid was never meant to be permanent, but it declined faster than we thought. The third part of the dilemma is that both from the debt service, with the crowding of other investments, but also from the matches, foreign mismatch, and asset liability mismatches. So that's it. And the fourth one is demography. So, till now in 2070, our demographic dynamics is still up. And so the demand for infrastructure, whether it is energy, digital, data centers, logistics, is simply increasing every time. So we're running behind the curve. But to think we can resolve it in 10 years of Africa 50 would be a bit on the side. But I'm happy the way they are moving along, including what we're discussing this afternoon, a single new funding strategy of monetizing some of the physical assets so that they can build new assets.
Going back to the journey, so you just explained to us the idea, what really caused Africa 50 to come into existence. But I imagine, as with every venture, that there were champions, also some skeptics. Who are your champions, and what the greatest argument that you counter?
I would say there were skeptics and champions. Many in this room were involved in the exercise with me. No, there was a story to sell, and I'm convinced to do. I've just told you, people who are the institutional investors, sovereign wealth funds, or insurance companies, or pension funds, you have to convince them. You have to convince them. But these are the people who want a return, but also have fiduciary responsibilities. So you have to convince them. And once you have convinced them, you have to show them you've got a credible vehicle, a credible roadmap. So that takes some time. And so I want to pay tribute to some governments at the beginning, which were very supportive, including His Majesty of Morocco. And that's how we ended up in Casablanca, financial city. And so many others followed. The President of Togo, I followed the President of Congo, Brazil, the President of Kenya, the President of Rwanda, and many others. So we had to convince the markets, we had to convince the governments, and to demonstrate that we have a credible story. So there were no skeptics and champions. There was a story to tell.
Was there ever a moment where the selling that you were doing was a bit too hard, where you thought that African 50...
Come again?
Was there ever a moment where the story that you were selling was a bit too hard and you thought that Africa 50 wouldn't happen?
Why do you want it to be easy? In a job like this, it's level as selected bank. Maybe it is easier for us now. I don't know. You cannot afford to say I'm discouraged. No. You have to keep trying new ways of doing the same thing. I think the biggest skeptic now that you was my own board director of chairman. So it was easier. But it was a skeptic for good reasons, asking, but what is it we can't do as a bank, which AFRICA50 can do? And that to be clear to them. From the viewpoint of mandates, there's no problem. From the viewpoint of instruments, there could be a small problem, a gap. But African Bank is a AAA rated institution. And its shareholders hold that very dearly. So anything they think would put AAA at risk, they hesitate. They understand that. And the second issue is that, these institutions, their balance sheets have been managed very carefully in terms of the different fiduciary limitations. And so I convinced the board that in the same way as my predecessor, MDI, created the trade bank, AFRICA50, because we could not do trade finance on our balance sheets because of mandates. We could also do something different, not supplant what we do, but supplement what we do in the infrastructure space. Once the board was convinced, that was easier. Unfortunately, CD, this is an advice for you. I came late in my career. I kept thinking about this for some time, but then by the time I talk about AFRICA50, I had only 2 years left in office. I didn't have enough time to mature this. So if you have some initiatives, please start like you're doing now. Because these things go very quickly.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Karuga. In closing, I'd like to get your thoughts. 2026, the year we're in now, is a very different year from when we started. Looking at the environment and the direction that we're headed, do you feel like there's any pivot, anything that you would change?
It is very easy to be wise when you look backwards. I just want to say to you and to my audience here that our continent is entering a period we probably have not experienced anywhere else in the 100 years gone by. Why? Here's the problem. I like to give the example of a small country nation, Vietnam. Vietnam was at war for over a decade and a half. 30 years ago, Vietnam had a GDP of $50 billion. 50 billion, like many other countries. Now, Vietnam has a GDP of $500 billion. $500 billion. It has a GDP per capita of $5,000. 94 it was $100. Like Dona. Now, if you adjust the GDP per capita by purchasing power about $3,000, like now, you wonder how can a transformation that happen in a generation? 3 things about it. Number one, where Vietnam is located on the Pacific belt, around it you have countries with aging populations. Singapore, negative replacement rate, Taiwan, China, Japan, South Korea. So those areas have excess savings, getting very little return. The aging population. In Japan, they have studied negative interest of 2%. Still not stimulate consumption investment. So the spirit of Vietnam was to say, we are a young dynamic nation. Around us, we have countries with aging population, with plus capital, how can I attract that? And so the reason that 3 things were necessary. One was energy. Second was quality of the education outcomes. high in the state of social stability. So they combine intelligently stable economics, I think they call it doi moi stage, and very high quality outcomes. Economist magazine in 2023 published an article I comment to you here. It was July 2023. Why are Vietnamese schools so good? They were saying that at exit, whether it is primary, secondary, or higher education, the outcomes are better than even Canada and the UK. So, high quality education, cheap energy, they were doing energy secure, and then stability of policy in the country. And so, they were able to convince a country like Samsung, to come and manufacture in Vietnam. So, as I tell people, if any of you has Samsung, if you check at the back, the share 60% it is made in Vietnam. Because Samsung manufactures a lot of stuff in Vietnam and many other companies, Singapore, Taiwan, and others. So, where we are in Africa, good dynamics of demography, the famous dividend, dividend, you only invest. If you invest, dividend. If you don't invest, there's no dividend. Okay. Now, maybe we'll have this for the next 50 years. Around us in Europe, an aging continent, can we duplicate what Vietnam has done? We say Europeans, European business, European companies, let us work together in the common interest. You have aging population, you have excess savings, we have negative savings, we have a dynamic population, can work together. Now, let me just conclude on this. When I mention this, my European friends, they give you three arguments. Number one, but your mind are too fragmented. That is true. 54 countries. Number two, pockets of instability. Number three, these issues of logistics. And so what I said to them, this is actually an opportunity for you. We are working on a free trade area. We need to bring the cost of doing business, but it's an opportunity for you. So I say it's a chance we have in 100 years, because if we can replicate what the Vietnamese have done, work with these areas of the world where they supply capital, very volatile outside technology, combined with our growing demographic dynamics, we could both have a win-win situation. Now, we have been added, you'll have to ask Syria and those places. I left office 11 years ago.
Excellent. Dr. Donald Kaberuka, thank you so much for sharing your insights, your journey, for giving us a plan, hope for the future of our continent. It's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.
Please, a round of applause to Dr. Kaberuka. And also a round of applause, Tanya Iman. That was a really good session. I think most of us will be running to YouTube and social media just to get some of the great insights that were delivered by Dr. Donald Kaberuka. And with that coming to the end, but before I let you go, I do have some housekeeping announcements, if you don't mind. So we will all go for lunch. And I think some of you have been informed where you will be going. For our VIPs, the VIPs, you will be going to Rua Hall and you will be using the first door here, following gentlemen. So here we will have our ministers who are presenting heads of states. We will also have shareholders of Africa50 together with regional commissioners and also the chairs of parliamentary committees. And then in Kilimanjaro VIP Hall, we'll have the deputy ministers, the permanent secretaries, together with government sponsors. We will also have Africa50 delegates joining there, together with other regional commissioners and members of the diplomatic corps. The key tent, we will have the other conference participants and the directors from government ministries and departments and members of the media, and also participants who are exhibiting outside together with ushers and protocol. The key at Gymkhana, we will have the members who will let us be here, our drivers and outdoor exhibitors, the people who are in charge of our security, police, ushers, and protocol officers. With that, we've come to the end of this morning session. I wish you a great lunch, a short one. We're surely looking forward to fast sessions that we have later in the afternoon. Please, good afternoon. Karibuni sana. Brass band, please allow the members to go for lunch. Karibuni, brass band.